na. They have caused violence because of obedience. Hey, see our ballot paper. Happening life in Zuba. See ballot paper. See am. See am for they don't carry am wrong. See am for up there. See am. They follow like this. They follow like this road. Na. Yes, so they have caused violence because of obedience. Hey, see our ballot paper. Happening life in Zuba. See ballot paper. See am. See am for they don't carry am wrong. See am for up there. See am. They follow like this. They follow like this road. Na. Yes, so they have caused violence because of obedience. Hey, see our ballot paper. Happening life in Zuba. See ballot paper. See am. See am for they don't carry am wrong. See am for up there. See am. They follow like this. They follow like this road. Na. Yes, so they have caused violence because of obedience. Hey, see our ballot paper. Happening life in Zuba. See ballot paper. See am.
For you. Yes, sir.
Which? No. Can you copy and number? Can any SDP agent?
A national party agent.
Aban.
SDP agent. Musa SDP.
SDP agent. National Coalition. Back again. National.
I'm okay, SDP agent,
Yeah.
a party agent.
Yes, it's on. Yes. Good afternoon. I'm back again. It's me, Katlong Dasat, and this afternoon joining me in the studio is the National Coalition Party Agent of the SDP. No other person but Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed Biu. You're welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So basically, we're here at the International Coalition at the ICC Center, and where everyone is anticipation collation to start, because I mean elections are gradually ending or rounding off in many places, although we've had pockets of events happen where there's late arrivals, and elections are still going on in some other places. So what do you see, or how would you rate the polls of people this time around in this election, 2023?
Well, I will say so far so good, because from the reports we've been getting all over the country, I think the elections can say to be generally smooth, because we had pockets of violence here and there, but on the whole, I think the election went on smoothly, and I think Nigerians should be proud that they have done themselves good, because the expectations before was that there may be likely, there was apprehensions all over the place, but thank God, apparently the whole thing went smoothly, and in some places even results have been, are trickling in, because results are being declared at the polling units and sent to the INEC server. So I can say that so far so good.
That's great to hear. So earlier today, we saw some practices that we know INEC had frowned at. Can we show some videos to our guests to see at some polling units where people try to disrupt actions, where I mean after voting has gone on and everything, well, efforts were made to start collation, some people cutting away with ballot boxes, and also people feeling disenfranchised in some states. But presently I don't think I've heard anything from the far north, where or from the north, where maybe these things are coming up, but we've heard of those situations in the southeast and the south and the southwest and all that, which is really alarming. Would we say that do you think the voter education really went round as it's supposed to in the country?
Well, I think generally, I think people were sensitized, people were enlightened. In the last maybe 1 year, we've been talking about this 2023. And today, by the grace of God, it has come. And a lot of people, from the way the reports I've seen on TV, is that so many people came out to exercise their franchise. So I think the voter education by INEC, by the political parties, by National Orientation Agency, and so many, even the media has they have enlightened people. That is why you have a large turnout. And to me, I think generally this is one of the best elections we have had, though we have pockets of violence here and there. The reports I had of violences I saw, like for example in Lagos, in Surulere, in Akirile, in some other places like that, is very sad. Nobody is happy with that. Also in the southeast, you had some pockets of disturbances here and there. But on the whole, I think it was successful.
Oh, great to hear. So, in general, I'd like to feel your pulse on something. We've been pushing for a lot of talks have been going on about inclusion, and making sure that no one is left out, of exercising their rights. Would we say that a good job was done by INEC to make sure that there's some high level of reasonable accommodation for people with disability?
Yes, I think from the adverts I saw, INEC came out with a lot of procedure for those people with disability. And I think to some extent we should commend INEC for doing that kind of thing. We never had it before. But this time around, I think they provided so many ways. For example, even those with sight impairment, you find that they said they could have somebody to assist them. So I think that is a good development. And generally, well, we are all human beings. We can't have anything perfect, but on the whole, I think it's a good job.
Oh, yes. I know it's too early to want to ask this, but since the process is still on, I'm a little tempted to say that going forward, what would you want to see being done better that will improve on this, you know, historic event that has happened? I mean, coming from the fact that is the first time presidential election date was fixed and not, shifted, and it was held on the same day. What do you have in mind that you would want to see going forward again as an improvement?
I think what we need is a kind of determination on the part of government and also of the people. No matter what anyone will say, I think the president, Muhammad Buhari, was determined and committed to the fact that this election must take place today. And that determination gave a lot of confidence to INEC, to security agencies, and the rest. And they were also provided with all the logistics to make sure that this election takes place, and it takes place in an atmosphere free of any violence or any act that may be inimical to this to the success of this election. So I think what we need to do is to improve on what we have so far, and maybe in the next 4 years we'll have our elections, what I would say, electronically. That is done in the house. You don't even have to go out. So when we get to that stage, I think it will make things easier. But so far that we have tried the beavers, I think things are working out fine. And all we need to do is to encourage INEC and also encourage the people to always come out to exercise their franchise.
Great. So, sir, last question. Did you vote today? Did you go out to vote?
Yes, no, I didn't, because actually I'm a registered voter in Kaduna. But
Okay.
because of this national assignment, I can't go to Kaduna and come back. So I decided to stay. But I think my family voted, all my children and my wives, they all voted. So they have covered me.
Oh, interesting. It's good to know that at least you have encouraged other voters to go out and vote.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alaji Ibrahim Mahmood, for this, for your time with us in the studio today. And we'll go out on a short break. And when we return, we'll take another interview from the International Conference Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
murdered me.
Welcome back, people. It's still Katlong Dasat in the studio, and I'm being joined by another guest today, a legal practitioner, Mr. Oluwole Osaze Uzi. I hope I didn't murder your name
You
again.
didn't murder. You tried to strangle, but you didn't murder it. Oluwole Osaze.
All right, you're welcome, sir. I understand that you're a former director with the INEC. It's good to have you in the studio with us today. We're just feeling the pulse of, different citizens, just to find out from them how they feel about the election. I mean, in all, what's your take about the enthusiasm of citizens and exercising their franchise today?
Thank you. You know that for the past 24 years, INEC has been in existence. 25 actually, because INEC was established in 1998. And part of the commitment of the commission, even before it became a statutory responsibility, was mobilizing the electorate and educating them, voter education. But until 2006, when it was now put as part of the statutory functions by the Electoral Act, it's been trying to do that, but now it is a statutory function, a statutory responsibility of the commission. I think that those of us who have been associated with the commission are very proud of what has happened. I don't know, I'm sure INEC has played its own role, but quite a number of the political parties have done a lot, and that's what INEC has been trying to get them to do: mobilize the citizens, ensure they come out to vote. Not only have they come out to vote, but they come out in relatively large form, what we can say. But ultimately, it is when the results come out and the total figure for accredited voters that we can really say. And I hope that the voter turnout will be based on the people who can actually vote. In other words, people who have picked up their PVCs. Prior to now, we've always measured it against the total number of registered voters, and you know that's 93 point something million. But that's not it, because if you haven't picked up your PVC, then you cannot vote anyway. So you haven't evinced your willingness to vote. I think the percentage we'll get will be much higher than previous examples that we've had. Yes.
So, in all, we would say that we're making history today. Nigeria decides, and I mean, there's a lot of energy out there, a lot. I mean, of things still happening around the election. We've seen pockets. We've seen videos and footages where people have complained about the presence of INEC not being noticed, or some form of lateness that has made people start to feel that they may be disenfranchised, or start getting agitated out there. We've seen situations in Bayelsa. We've also heard about situations where people are cajoling or forcing people to vote for certain parties. Would we say that the voter education did not go round as it was supposed to, or could there be other factors that need to be addressed going forward?
Well, you rolled in a lot of things into one now, so it's difficult for me to now disaggregate those things you have rolled in.
Okay, so I was saying that a lot of things have happened that
Yes.
we know INEC generally will frown at to happen on the day of election.
Yes.
Like people agitating at the polling units because of a late arrival or lack of materials. We've also seen situations where people are cutting away with the ballot boxes, or snatching away beavers. You can see in Lube right now, maybe some 30 minutes or more ago, there were like people protesting and just going against what is acceptable. I'm saying, would we say that this was as a result of the fact that the voter education did not go round the way it's supposed to go, or it is because of other factors that we should look at?
You started off from the premise of late arrival of materials.
Yeah.
So first of all, that is not a voter education issue. That is a management issue. That's a logistics issue. And when you consider election management, you know that the late arrival is one of the triggers for protest and violence. So first of all, you have to look at it from that perspective. I don't know the reasons for the late arrival of materials. I don't want to know whether I cannot blame INEC for that, but INEC is the election management body. So if you don't arrive 1, 2, 3, 4 hours after you have said you arrive, the necessary thing. I mean, by the way, protest is nothing wrong in a democracy. Protests are a necessary form of exercise of democratic right of freedom. Freedom to protest is guaranteed by the Constitution. But what is forbidden and what is undesirable is violent protest and being unruly and causing nuisance. That is a different ball game at all. So I don't know whether that's an issue of voter education, maybe voter education of the internal stakeholders to ensure. And it's a criminal offense. Section 120 of the Electoral Act makes it criminal offense with a penalty if you are an election official and you come late without just cause. So that is one part of that question. I don't know how I can tie that part of that question to voter education. But as to the violence, as to be the snatching of materials, yes, voter education has a lot to do with it, but there will always be deviance. That's why you have laws and penalties. There will always be deviance in case you fall out of line. I think penal issues have gone away just from penalizing people, convicting people, and education, enlightenment, prevention. These are all part of the modern approaches to law enforcement, and I think security agents are doing a lot more of that. So voter education is to tell them that it's wrong for you to do that. And most of the Nigerian citizens, there are deviants who are doing this. Most of the citizens have come there. Look at the Lugbe picture. So you are coming from Lugbe now. The vast majority of people are there. They are anxious to cast their votes. They are showing you their PVCs. They are very anxious. It's not them. The mobilization is one aspect of voter education. So it's been very successful in that regard. But it's a contract. When you mobilize people to come out, you should give them, render the service that you've asked them and promised them at the time when you are promised them. And I'm sure if that thing came 30 minutes, 1 hour, they'll be restless, but they will not even protest. They will just, and we've seen that in so many instances. So it's a complex thing. There will always be deviance. That's why you have prisons. That's why you have crimes. That's why you have penalties for it. But we can keep doing more, and I think that the people doing it are a tiny, microscopic minority. But the effect can be resounding. It's a ripple effect. It causes more damage than the number of people who do it justify. But I'm happy that the vast majority of people are coming in line with the tenets of the mobilization and the voter education that they have received.
So thank you very much for putting in your for giving your input to this, or would I say sharing your thoughts with us about the voter education, and also spelling out the two factors, which are like management factors, which is a separate thing to deal with and should be looked into deeply going forward or in future to reduce some of these things from happening, or maybe to mitigate, because we cannot say we can eradicate it completely. And then when you're communicating to people and educating them on something, I quite agree with you that you should keep your own part of the bargain to reduce stop to make sure that the effects do not come and mar all the efforts that have been put in to the whole electioneering process. At this point, I'd like to ask, sir, were you able to vote today?
Well, I was at work. Okay. And there's no advance voting. There's no voting for those of us who have to carry out other duties associated with the election. Mm-hmm. And I'm not registered here, and there was no way I could have gone to vote and still carried out my responsibilities. And I'm not one of those who would have liked to jump the queue. So I had to choose. I had to do one over the other. So maybe with electoral reform, maybe there may be some kind of advanced voting, or those who are involved, either the accredited media, the security personnel, staff of INEC, going forward, maybe if we're satisfied and consolidated with the process as it is now, that may be the next step. That and diaspora voting may be next steps that we probably have to take on board. But I am one of those who feels, let us consolidate on what we have now. Let us solve the basic issues before we bring external ones. So you see people coming out to vote, counting the vote, the issues. So when you now do advanced voting, except there's sufficient confidence in the system, it's going to run into problems. So let us consolidate first. You don't run before you crawl. Let's crawl, let's get up, be strong enough, and I think we'll get there.
I agree with you, and I believe that if we get this right this time, and people start to believe the process and start to believe the system, we will be able to advance and make sure that people can vote in diaspora and vote in the comfort of their homes, or just walk in and vote without any of all this happening. So at this point, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for
I am
having me.
elated to have you here,
Pleasure.
and we hope to talk again soon.
No
Yes,
problem.
thank you, sir.
I'll be around. Thank you.
Alright.